Get ready for stunning views of the Lake Erie shores and islands.
That's right. Perry's Victory reopens this weekend after a multi-million-dollar makeover. 13 ABC's Tony Gaertner takes us to the top for a preview.
At 352 feet, Perry's Victory and International Peace Memorial is hard to miss.
Well, the memorial is a huge masonry structure made of granite on the exterior, concrete in the middle, and then a brick liner.
But for the past year and a half, this must-see attraction on South Bass Island was off limits to visitors. It's been undergoing some much-needed maintenance and repair work, mostly to the exterior layers.
And so that was the major work that took place, was repointing those joints between the granite blocks and cleaning.
There were also repairs to the 5 bronze doors, which were hit by vandals last year.
And there was gouging and pitting and denting that occurred, and a restoration crew came in and refinished the door.
Nearly $2.5 million later, this massive attraction run by the National Park Service is ready to reopen.
So when visitors come up to the top of Perry's Victory this Saturday morning, it will be the first time they can enjoy this view since October of 2016.
Because it's 103 years old, the first 103 visitors will get in free, courtesy of Huntington Bank. Lake Erie Shores and Islands will hand out Perry's Victory quarters to the first 103 kids 15 and under. It's all to honor those who fought and died in the Battle of Lake Erie during the War of 1812.
I am very humbled, very privileged to be the superintendent of this site, and all of our employees here feel that way. We're all very excited to welcome the public on Saturday. I'm very proud to be stewards of this special place.
Whether it's your first time in a while or your first time ever, Perry's Victory stands ready for you to create new memories. In Put-in-Bay, Tony Gaertner, 13 ABC Action News.
It's an event that keeps going up, up, up. Over 30,000 people expected at this year's Glass City Balloon Race.
That fun is happening in Rossford, and Dan Zabosian took to the skies for the festival's first flight.
Bigger and better than ever, the Glass City Balloon Race started with 8, but this year, 20 balloons will be taking flight over the Glass City. Under perfect conditions, teams pulled in early this morning, fired up the burners, and kicked off the event's first flight.
Bye, everybody!
13 ABC was able to hop along for the ride, climbing high above the ground. And once the burners turned off, the ride is quiet and peaceful.
If there was people down below us right now, I could holler at them, and we're about 500 feet off the ground right now, and I could holler at them and say, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And they could hear us.
Jim Cusick, the pilot of the Remax hot air balloon, says once you're up, the wind has control.
I've got to change altitudes to find different winds to go different directions.
Constantly making adjustments.
I'm going to drop down a little bit here because I'm moving a little bit too much towards the water.
After correcting the course and approaching the landing, a few nearby spectators spotted the big balloon.
It does. It attracts attention. It's a giant billboard in the sky.
People of all ages couldn't hold back from getting a closer look.
Do it again. Ready? Do it again. Kids love it. It's a big toy to them. To adults too. It's a big toy.
Oh, that was amazing. It was so exciting to see this beautiful balloon land right in my neighborhood.
To keep the crowd growing and entertained, plenty of on-site entertainment has been added this year, from concerts, food trucks, helicopter rides, and kids' activities. If you missed this morning's flight, tonight's takes off at 7:30 p.m., followed by a hot air balloon glow at 9 and fireworks at 10. Reporting from Rossford, Dan Zabosian, 13 ABC Action News.
9 teams have come from all over the world, China, the Netherlands, and Idaho, here to rural Canada to win a prize. The problem is simple in theory: how to remove a nutrient from this water before it turns green.
The crisis in Toledo really spoke to the magnitude of the issue.
As the bottled water rush spread across Toledo in August 2014, work to create the Barley Prize was happening in Florida to find a fix for us.
There's a lot of businesses that contribute to the problem of nutrients.
Neil works for Toronto-based Ecots, but grew up along the Maumee in Napoleon. He thinks local factories that release phosphorus will volunteer to self-treat their water affordably.
I expect it would be much less expensive.
A city like Toledo may not be able to afford the whole fix.
Trying to ask, a small, medium, even a large municipality, okay, you just put in a $10 million plant and all your problems vanish. Well, it's a big undertaking.
So all this material here is to remove the sediment.
And it's got to do so cheaply.
That's one of the factors judges will be picking out, cost. And that's why many teams are capturing that phosphorus to resell it.
The nice thing of these columns is you can regenerate them. So when they're full, you regenerate them.
Miriam Kuiper is a Dutch grad student running 2 of the pilots. They won the first 2 rounds with a custom filter. Another option has roots in the Rust Belt and could be cheaper for towns along Lake Erie.
And it is essentially just a waste byproduct of the steel industry.
This slag comes out covered in phosphorus with a pH of 12.
And that allows our system to automatically dose carbon dioxide into the system.
In the blue box next door, a team from China has lots of experience with algae in their home country.
This particles has a really large capacity and selectivity towards phosphorus.
Greg Moeller uses Toledo's water crisis as a cautionary tale for his classes. The University of Idaho professor taught online by Wi-Fi from his clean water machine. He wants to use these smaller rigs for canals like ours back home.
That account for a large amount of the bulk nutrient that enter ecosystems like Lake Erie. So if we can control it when it's in a small flow, we can allow it to not get into a big flow.
Moeller says it's just not realistic financially to treat for phosphorus at the mouth of a big river like the Maumee.
We think this should be applicable technologies in any temperate climate, including Ohio and Michigan.
If you win the grand prize for the barley, the rule is you got to bring a product to market within 3 years. For photojournalist Todd Gaertner in Bradford, Ontario, I'm Ben Cathy, 13 ABC Action News.
Well, driving around parts of northwest Ohio looks a little bit different these days. You feel like you're cruising around in circles because, well, you're headed into a roundabout, right?
Yeah, they've become a part of many daily drives. So many people are wondering why they're popping up. And tonight, 13 ABC I-Team reporter Sean Hegarty is asking the question, do they make your ride any safer? And Sean is standing by live now with the answer. Sean.
Yeah, they're not only changing roads, but they're changing ramps as well. This is the future I-475 Dorr Street interchange behind me. It, too, will have roundabouts, changing the way we drive, all in the name of safety. From the sky, it looks pretty easy. Just go around in a circle. When you see your exit, off you go to your destination. But from the ground, it's a little different.
They still haven't figured out what they're doing because they're not paying attention to all the signs. They're just going.
Kathy Cummings would know. She has a roundabout on both ends of her Toledo Street, the newest one in front of Joey Brown Park at Manhattan Boulevard and Phillips Avenue.
I like them, but people have to pay attention and read the signs. You gotta turn one way, follow the routes.
The routes are pretty simple. Yield to drivers that are already in the circle, then go right. Roundabouts force you to go right, which is by design and for your safety.
Entering the roundabout in a certain angle and yielding to the vehicle already in the circle so that you can reduce a lot of the head-on collision, the T-bone collision.
Engineering experts like University of Toledo professor Eddie Chu study traffic flows and have found that whether it's an intersection with a light or a stop sign, the left turn is the most dangerous action a driver can take. Roundabouts eliminate that and slow you down, leading to safer intersections.
Reduction of fatal crashes is 90%, reduction in injury crashes is 76%, and we have about a 35% reduction in overall crashes.
That's in part why ODOT teams with communities for new ones, for example I-75 at Wooster and Bowling Green. Construction already underway here for roundabouts at the exit and entrance ramps to help in part with the congestion when students leave and arrive back to BGSU, adding something young drivers will now have grown up with.
I think the youth, people like my age, we find it better because it's smoother. You ain't really stopping and waiting at the light. It's all going in the flow. Drivers like Shaquille Young enjoy the flow and the convenience. What they might not realize is that they're part of something called channelization, a fancy way of saying the roundabout tells you where to go, cutting down on your chances for an accident.
A lot of times with an intersection where there's a traffic signal, one of the dangers, of course, is people rushing to beat the red light. Where in a roundabout, you don't have that.
An additional bonus, fuel efficiency. You're not stopping at a stop sign or a red light.
Yes, it would add up because 30–40% more fuel, just that one intersection. And if you have multiple intersections along the way, there's accumulated together. All the drivers going through it safe, that amount of fuel.
Roundabouts are not perfect. Some in central Toledo still have trouble navigating this double roundabout off of Detroit Avenue. These roundabouts also will not prevent all accidents. People not yielding or stopping short could cause fender benders. And there is a high price tag. For example, the one here at King and Dorr Street, Lucas County, cost over $1.4 million.
Probably the biggest challenge for the roundabout is the initial cost, because it is quite costly to put them in, depending upon the jurisdiction. That is probably the biggest challenge we have. But again, that's an initial cost, not like a life cycle cost.
But they're not going anywhere. So if you think they're a hassle,
go drive them. Because we hear this quite a bit when we've tried to put them in Northwest Ohio. Oh, everybody's apprehensive about it at the beginning. We go to the public meetings and we hear that, and we try and tell them, you'll like it, just give it a try.
Do it slow, do it easy, and just follow. And if you see traffic, take your time.
now, these roundabouts don't work everywhere. In more urban, highly trafficked areas, the roundabout couldn't handle the volume of that, let alone cities would have to acquire so much land to put one in. Each roundabout, the diameter is about 80 to 90 feet. But if you were in a more area that's open and rural, you can expect to see more of them instead of stoplights or stop signs. Lee and Diane.